Today I'm going to be talking about 10 NBA predictions that I have for the next season, as this next season is coming really close. And these are, some of them are crazy, some of them are justifiable. So let's talk about the first one is that the LA Clippers are going to be a top 4 seed and are have a big chance to make the conference finals. Now, a lot of people are down on the Clippers with their old age, and I do think that that's going to be a pretty big factor in their play, but their roster is really deep. So they have a lot of just good players around that can help fill their lineup when they need them and just fill their lineup when there's an injury. And also they won 50 games last year and they got better in my opinion because they added Bradley Beal, which replaced Norman Powell. He is around the same caliber player as Powell. And they added John Collins for Powell, who they really much needed, as he is a power forward, athletic power forward that can also shoot the three ball. And then they added Brook Lopez, who, although really old, is a much better backup center than someone like Mo Bamba or Ben Simmons. So I think that is a really good offseason they got. And of course, they added Chris Paul. They still have a really good defense. They didn't lose any of their good defenders. Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi is still there. Kawhi, he's still a superstar, and he showed that last season in the playoffs, although they lost in 7. But it was against the Nuggets, who almost beat the defending champions, Thunder. So I think this team is going to win around 50 games again, and they might make it to the conference finals. They're a dark horse contender. Next up, I have the Indiana Pacers making it to the playoffs, not in the play-in, and Andrew Nembhard being an all-star. Now, with Halliburton's injury, the Pacers are pretty equipped. Now, they haven't been bad without Halliburton the past few years, around a 500 record, but I feel like that's enough to make the playoffs. Nembhard is going to finally shine out as an all-star caliber player because in the past 2 playoffs, he has been elite with Halliburton. And then now without Halliburton, he's going to have a really big role as a starting point guard. So I feel like he can be an all-star caliber player. TJ McConnell off the bench is also going to bring a lot of scoring, just a lot of confusion to other teams. So I feel like that is going to help them. And I think they're going to make the playoffs in the East that isn't too dangerous. They could make the playoffs outright. No need to go in a play. And I feel like they're going to be a top 6 seed, even without Halliburton. And you know what? Maybe Halliburton might come back, but I doubt it. But hey, I feel like the only bad thing is that Turner left. But I think the addition of J Huff is okay, and Isaiah Jackson bring him back. Then Jason Tatum. My bold prediction is that Tatum is going to play this season, even though he just tore his Achilles probably in May, I believe. Now, I believe that can happen because he got his Achilles injury, his surgery the day after, which is something that most NBA players don't have. And he looks like he's recovering pretty quickly. I believe he does not have a walking boot anymore. And maybe if the Celtics makes the playoffs, which I believe they still can, even with all the trades and Tatum out, I feel like the Celtics, Tatum might want to come back and play because, this is, he's a really good player. Like, I don't know why he gets so much hate, and I feel like he will play. Then my next bold prediction is that Joel Embiid, he will be healthy this year, even though he's dealing with all these knee injuries, and he will be in the MVP race again and lead the Sixers to at least the second round of the playoffs. Now, Embiid in the past few years have been injured and especially last season, he was basically only played like maybe 15, 20 games. He didn't play much at all, and he did not look like himself. And he had to get out of the season with an injury, and he barely played. So, but a few years ago, MB was averaging 34 a game, which is crazy, and would have won MVP the second time in a row. That's just 2 years ago. So I feel like MB still has that in him, and I feel like he can lead the Sixers because he before, if healthy, he led the Sixers even without like much depth besides Maxey because of the trade of James Harden. He led them to like a pretty good record, still made the playoffs. So I feel like with a solid roster around him, Jerry McCain, VJ Edgecombe, and Paul George, Quentin Grimes most likely coming back. I feel like he can have a pretty good team and lead them at least to winning a series in the first round. Next, I have Jonathan Kuminga staying with the Golden State Warriors long term because as of now it's still a contract standstill. But I feel like maybe he will get a big role in a few years as Draymond Green will most likely retire soon. Curry is also going to retire soon, and Jimmy Butler will. So he'll have a big role in the next chapter of the Warriors. And I feel like with all these like offers and stuff from other teams, the Warriors, they're not budging at all or something. Kuminga's not budging at all. He's not getting traded right now. And he probably will stay with the Warriors on a qualifying offer. Now, it's just going to be crazy on what happens with all these restricted free agents because none of them have signed, basically. None of the good ones. Even in August. But I feel like Kuminga will stay with the Warriors long term because he doesn't really have any other choices right now. But maybe maybe he'll get traded or signed somewhere else in free agency next year. But there's not many teams with cap space, so it's probably a sign and trade, which the Warriors probably won't really do because the Warriors still value Kuminga really highly. So I think he'll stay for the Warriors at least for a few years. Next, LaMelo Ball gets traded from the Hornets. Now, there has been a little bit of rumors about this, but not much. But I think with the addition of Brandon Miller, Con Canubo, and a lot of other younger players, I think LaMelo, who has been injury prone the past like 2 to 3 years and hasn't led Charlotte to any success since like the play-in and like his second season, I believe. I think LaMelo is getting traded soon. I don't know if the Hornets trust him really because of his injuries and his play style is kind of whack. But I think soon he might get traded or demand a trade too because the Hornets are not really a good team right now, and I don't expect the Hornets to make the play-in this year again, which, LaMelo hasn't made the playoffs yet at all, and this is about to be his 6th season, I believe. So LaMelo might want to try to play for a winning team. Next, around the same for Ja Morant as LaMelo, but I feel like Grizzlies are underperforming. They will be a bottom play-in team this season. Now, I think they are a solid team, but with how stacked the West is, with the Thunder, Warriors, Lakers, Rockets, Nuggets, Clippers, Mavericks, Spurs, Blazers even, I don't know, but I think there will be a bottom play-in team in the 9-10 play-in spot because Ja, he is injury prone and he wasn't living up to as much as what he was last season as he was in previous seasons. And then also they traded Bane away. Now they got back some solid role players in KCP and they signed Ty Jerome. But I feel like the loss of Bane is kind of big because he was one of their more steady offensive players and their best shooter They also lost Luke Kennard, who was their second best shooter. So I feel like they are going to be around the same as this year, maybe even a little worse with the players that are gone. And they might, I don't think they're going to break it up as what I said before about LaMelo, because their GM said they're going to keep this Jaren and Ja core, which, I like Jaren and Ja, but, and they have pretty good depth, but I just feel like they are not going to, like, the West is just too stacked for them to be a top 8 seed. Then finally, three more. I will say this one is my a bold one, is that the East is a lot better than you think. Like, we have said like how the East is bad, it's so much worse than the West. Yes, it is worse than the West, but don't underestimate the East, because they are still really good. And if they were fully healthy, I feel like the top teams of the East are better than the top teams of the West. The top four teams of the East are better than the top four teams of the West combined together. And those would have been, if healthy, Knicks, Cavs, Pacers, Celtics. But since they're not healthy, I still think the East is like good. They have a lot of good teams. Finally, they're a lot better than previous seasons where the 7th and 8th seed were all bad, and we know that they're going to lose. Even like the 6th, only like a few good teams. But right now we have the Knicks, who are stacked and added some depth this offseason with Clarkson and Yabusele. They have of course, the best team in the East, the Cavaliers, who kept their core, added Lonzo Ball for Ty Jerome, which I feel like will help. It's around the same caliber of player. The Orlando Magic, with the addition of Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones, will help a lot. And then we have the Atlanta Hawks, who I feel like are a dark horse team with the crazy additions of Kristaps, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, more. And then just some solid teams in general, the 76ers, Embiid, Maxey, George. Celtics, Bucks, and Pacers are all kind of undermanned, but still they're solid teams. And then the Pistons, you can't forget about the Pistons and the Miami Heat. But yeah, I feel like the Pistons are going to be good this year too. My last two are just kind of bold predictions of the West a little more than the East. I already talked about the East a lot, but Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets, alongside the Kevin Durant Rockets, who I'll be talking about soon, they have a good shot to beat the OKC Thunder in the playoffs. Now, I say this because OKC is still my favorite to win the championship. I feel like it is not a foregone conclusion that they will win. Now, in the offseason, of course, they didn't add anything because they're a championship team and they were injured and still won 68 games. And in the playoffs, they were pretty dominant. But versus the Nuggets, they were in a game 7 versus a Nuggets team that did not have depth at all. This year, they added a ton of pieces, which is going to help them a lot. First, Cam Johnson is similar to Michael Porter Jr. in offense, but he is a much better defender than Porter Jr., which helps a lot, as also Porter Jr. was injured in the series versus the Thunder. They still have Jokic, of course, with the best player in the league, and he is playing Eurobasket. He seems to be in shape. Jamal Murray finally coming back. He is not injured, I believe, and still a great player. Aaron Gordon, of course. And then they added Bruce Brown back, who is going to help their depth a lot. He was an integral part of their championship 2 years ago. And then they added Jonas Valanciunas, who will help their backup center minutes because they had no center. And that really hurt them in the Nuggets series because, of course, the Thunder series, because of course the Thunder having like Chet and iHeart really hurt them. And then finally, DaRon Holmes, who is their rookie from last year, also a big man. He is an intriguing player because he's a player that can score and also can help them if someone like Jokic or Valanciunas is not playing well. So I just feel like they have a really good team. And they added Tim Hardaway Jr., who was another player that was a good shooter, helping their depth, and was really good with the Pistons last year, revitalizing his career. I feel like all those are going to be great pickups, and they still can make more moves. Finally, for the Rockets, this Kevin Durant deal is going to help them more than you think, because they traded away Jalen Green, who isn't really a good fit as he is very inconsistent. And Dylan Brooks is probably a really important piece they traded away. But they got Dorian Finney-Smith, who can fill in that role. And then they just got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the best offensive players in NBA history. Even in his old age, he can still score, drop buckets. He was really good with the Suns last year, at least for scoring. And then you build that around Şengün, who also is a really capable second option, all-star last year, and a really good defense around Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Fred VanVleet is still there, and Dorian Finney-Smith, of course. And then Steven Adams and Clint Capella as your centers behind Şengün. Their depth is also insane. They have like a 10, 12 deep roster that can play. Reed Shepherd, who they drafted last year, showed signs a little bit. He will probably be the backup point guard this year. And I'm very excited for this team because they're a mix of veterans and younger players who now have experience in the playoffs. So I feel like this team versus the Thunder now, I feel like their offense still is not going to be the best, but I feel like their defense is going to be great because Kevin Durant is not a bad defender. He was probably one of the best defenders on the Suns, which is kind of crazy. And with this team, he doesn't need to try as much defensively as he did on the Suns. So, this is going to be a very dangerous team. I feel like the Rockets and the Nuggets are the two teams, and the Cavs, I guess, in the East are the three teams that I feel like would be the best options to go against the Thunder and win them in the playoffs. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. We're out.